Okay, thank you for joining me, Amar. We are live in the Facebook group. As most people know me, I'm Helen Machin Pierce and I'm admin for the group. And today I have you with me, which is a great privilege. I'm really pleased to have you. So, Amar, please do introduce yourself for a start.
Thank you, Helen, for being here with me today. And I would like to thank Mark for giving me this opportunity.
Wonderful. So, Amar, tell us a little bit about you. Tell us what you do and how you entered the field of embodiment coaching.
Sure. Well, I was, there was a point in my life where I was lost in the corporate world and I was trying to figure out what's the next step. And then I was with my coach, and then we had this idea, life coaching. And I actually did my training with the CTI, the Coaches Training Institute, and I loved it. But then there was always this missing link when I was with clients, didn't know how to exactly connect them with their bodies. They were always in their head. And when I came across Embodiment Unlimited, I did my certification, the CAC certification, and it was amazing. That was the missing link. And here I
Yeah,
am.
that's it's a familiar story that we're hearing, and actually, one of the links that we'll put in is the CEC certification, Certificate of Embodiment Coaching certification. Um, and what is it that is your area that you specialize in? I actually know the answer, but people watching may not.
Sure, it's overthinking, overcoming overthinking. Initially, I had the pattern, the tendency to overanalyze situations. And it's something that I worked on over the years and I made significant improvement. But I never thought it's sufficient to have my business evolved around this theme until one day I looked around in my circle and I realized there are like quite few people, actually more than few, who are challenged with overthinking. And then having a closer look, uh, I realized it's a pervasive worldwide phenomena. And I thought, yeah, this is going to be my niche, overthinking.
So the experience of it and then the realization kind of called to you in a way. Yeah, yeah.
And it's always
And
good to work with someone who have been through a similar journey because you feel understood, not judged, and witnessed in a different way.
yes, I totally agree with that. The experience of the challenge is always something that draws people. And I certainly feel that in myself. When you say overthinking, how would you define it?
Okay, so let's take the definition used in the Merriam-Webster dictionary. So the verb overthink, to think too much about something, to put too much time into thinking about or analyzing something in a way that is more harmful than helpful.
Yeah.
So the person is using way too much time thinking, doing it for a long period and repeatedly, regardless to tell you some of the negative impacts. A person would not be able to focus, will have mood swings, will actually be very prone to lose their temper. They won't be as productive, and it would actually affect their relationships. And health-wise, I'm not a doctor, but they could be prone to insomnia, headaches, blurry vision, high blood pressure, digestive problems, irritable bowel syndrome, and the list is, large.
It certainly is. Um,
Yeah,
as soon as you say it, I think of a whirring in my head, and I've experienced it at times, of course, like most of us have. So, a way to deal with it so it stops getting in the way of things, stops getting in the way of relationships. And that sounds such a good plan. So, what are the reasons that people avoid addressing it, avoid trying to find ways to deal with it?
that's a very good question. Well, to start with, some people think, well, it's there to stay and might as well not do anything about it. Let's not fool myself.
Yeah,
Then you have people who are anxious about being judged by someone else. You have
yeah,
others who can't ask for help. They think, I need to do it myself. That's. Then you have people who have this shyness or sense of shame to
yeah,
reveal their personal matters to someone else. And you have people who are busy and they don't realize that you can do it through Zoom. They have, like, busy. Really, still, there are people who don't think it's effective. They're either busy or they live in rural areas.
yeah,
And then you have those who have lack of awareness. They don't know they are overthinking. And I guess because society have a different label to overthinking, actually, it is looked as a trait of being perfectionist, someone who's intelligent or with diligence,
yeah,
because we live in a very fast-paced life
yeah,
world,
yeah, yeah.
and people are always doing, doing, doing. So, yeah.
That's absolutely fascinating. And I think back to when I was working as a doctor in a group of doctors, and looking back, I can see the overthinkers amongst the group. It was so prevalent. So, how do we recognize it? What are the aspects of overthinking that present themselves? You've listed some of sort of the side effects, if you like, some of the things it can lead to and go wrong, but how how do people know if they're an overthinker?
Okay. Anyone who's watching, don't overthink about it. But some of the familiar aspects, like people who are always fearing the future, they're always preparing for crisis that is not in the horizon, but they're always preparing, they're always engaged, they're always looking for safety. Then you have people who are worrying about money, though they are financially stable, but there's always this fear like one day they would lose it, lose all their money. You have people who are really preoccupied about their health. I think the term for it, hypochondria. So they're always worried about viruses, illness, always going to see a doctor. You have people who rehash past actions and conversations, and they spend so much time thinking, how could I have done it differently? And imagining that they are there and doing it, differently rather than, accepting it. It's part of the past. You
Yeah,
have people who are concerned with their self-image and what other people think of them. You have people who are they're not good with making decisions. They go in circles, so very indecisive. You have people who are perfectionist to the extent that they procrastinate. They would have a project and not do anything about it. And there are more of these.
yeah, yeah. I'm aware I have experienced various things in that list at times, and going back to the worrying, but also I can really relate to the procrastination and almost a freeze from sometimes the excessive whirring and turning things over and playing things over again and again.
And it's normal, it's part of our human nature, but the thing is to look at it and try to manage it. We all have it to different degrees and at different times.
Yeah. So, and that leads me actually to another question. How do you approach the process of overcoming overthinking that's causing difficulties? How do you deal with that as a coach?
Sure. Needless to say, I use movement, pauses, breathing, exercises, journaling, but I start with self compassion because I believe when we introduce self compassion to our lives, we are having a better understanding of our human nature. We're bringing kindness to how we treat ourselves. We are bringing um, empathy and acceptance to our situation. And then that helps us to actually look at our shortcomings, weaknesses, mistakes, if you want, at with a different lens.
Yeah,
And the more we do this, we lower the sound of the inner critic. And then over time, a person will be able to be adaptive to situations. And when we introduce adaptability, we can start building resilience.
right. Yeah,
And actually, we become like self supportive, which is a wonderful thing. So I mentioned self compassion, then self care and boundaries. Self care, because, when I talk about self care, I remember it reminds me of the Maslow's pyramid. So self care, they're like, when we start our day, they're like basic needs, like physical needs, rest, food, then, safety. Then, we need to work, we need to make a living, we need to engage with people, family, friends, colleagues. We need to do something for fun. We need to follow our ambition. And then there is like self growth.
yeah,
Overthinkers, they drain their energy in one place. And as a result, they neglect other aspects of their lives.
right.
There's also, then comes the boundaries, setting boundaries with oneself and others. With oneself, I'll give you an example. Someone who works a lot could easily neglect family,
Yeah,
or a person who indulge in, let's say, food and pleasure could neglect their their health.
yeah,
And with others, setting boundaries with others, there are people who give way too much of themselves to their job or to their friends and or families, and they don't know when to stop and to say no. So actually I see like self-compassion is the base, and then you have self-care and boundaries.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Building up in skills. Yeah,
right. And I
brilliant.
would like to invite, maybe if we have some time,
Yeah.
invite the viewers to a tool.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah, thank you. Yes.
But before starting, maybe they could think of an issue that they would like to work on, something mild to moderate. So, for example, 10 out of 10 would be something that is like with a lot of intensity, and you don't want to do that. You want to go like 5 out of 10,
Yeah.
right? Good. I call this galloping the horse. And horse riders, in order to do it successfully, they need to coordinate between balance and control. And it
Yeah.
takes commitment and practice. Same thing with this pose. So if you are willing to join me or watch and maybe do it later, you could actually start with feeling your feet on the floor, feeling the weight of your body on the chair where you're sitting, feeling your heartbeat. You could actually place your hand on your heart, feel the cycle of your breathing, and then try to bring some balance to your posture. So, rocking the body back and forth gently till you find that point of balance. And then rocking the body again sideways till you find balance. And from this balanced, supportive, and solid posture, bring into mind the situation that you want to work on. And imagine you're having straps in your hands, and the situation is attached to it. And you want to look at it as something external. I know it feels internal, but in fact, it is external. And in order to see it, have a sense of it, communicate with it, understand it, and maybe hear it, you want to see it as something separate from yourself. So, how does it feel in the body when you are holding that situation with the strap and facing it? How does it feel? Do you feel pulled forward? Or maybe you feel that you're pulling it backward. And you want to do that bearing in mind keeping the control and the balance. That's one thing. Another thing is actually, I have this metaphor. Do you remember? Maybe you remember those old fashioned wooden ponies. They keep rocking. So you could also experiment with that image, going and forth, back and forth, just like those wooden ponies, and having that dance until you reach that point of stillness, that perfect point of stillness, which is actually where we started. So I came across this pose or this movement when I was actually certifying in embodiment coaching. I was obsessed about hearing from someone, and I was looking at my phone constantly. And then I started doing it naturally without reading about it, without hearing about it. And actually, it's very handy now because it is a good tool to do if you're in public, if you're with people. So, my suggestion, if you like it, you can try doing it for the period of 10 days, maybe twice a day. Don't make any decisions when you are doing this practice. Just observe and see what comes up.
So practice it, practice the sensations, practice noticing what comes up. Brilliant. That's wonderful.
And you can use images, you can use visualization, I mean, or sound, whatever you want. You can
Yeah,
create your micro pose once you do it
yeah,
over time, which is
yeah,
just going back to the middle center or coming forward and landing in the middle because your body would recognize it and it would
yeah.
be handy. Yeah,
Yeah, I noticed that when you described it and in doing it, the feeling of it, there is such a familiarity in that push and the pull with it that is way above the description. I feel it completely in my body. Yeah,
right. Yeah. And that's how it works.
yeah,
Whether you are a horse rider or not.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I haven't ridden horses for a very long time.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, fantastic, Amar. Anything else that you would like to share about the coaching?
I would like to share something about overthinking. It's good to start doing something about overthinking when it's manageable. One doesn't want to wait until they reach, God forbid, a stage in their life where it becomes a big obstacle, or
Yeah,
where they reach burnout, or where they get to a point where they are paranoid. So it's manageable. You will always tend to overthink, but it would be manageable and controllable because you know how to deal with it, how to communicate with it. Now you know you can't block it. You need to befriend it. You need to talk to it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love the idea of befriending it because it's not something that we can just get rid of, is it? It's not going to magically go away.
No,
No.
no.
How do people get in touch with you? How do your potential coachees find you?
Sure. We're gonna mention my email and my Instagram account, my business Instagram account, and that's how they can reach me.
Fantastic. We can put those in the comments of this
Yeah.
video so people can find them. Brilliant. So through email and through Instagram.
Right.
Good. Lovely. Anything else that you would like to add, Amar? Anything else that you'd like to share?
Well, it just has been a wonderful journey, especially with Embodiment Unlimited. It's a wonderful community. And although we are scattered all around the globe, but I feel connected all the
Yeah,
time with those wonderful
yeah,
beings. So thank you to the Embodiment Unlimited group, to Mark Walsh, to you, Helen.
my pleasure. And I share that. I share those thoughts as well. Okay, Emma, thank you very much indeed. As we said, we'll put the links in the comment and it's time for us to end. So thank you very much.
Thank you.